show the connection between our mind, mouth, moods, and attitudes. Obviously nowadays, people are I feel more aggressive. And I think we need to really start thinking before we speak and before we hurt other people. But again, even when you hurt other people, you're still hurting yourself at the end of it. Like, it's a what's it called, ripple effect, like a domino effect. You think, oh, I'm not getting hurt, I'm just making them feel bad, but let's be honest, we're technically, I don't believe that we're born evil. We just turn evil. So obviously the more angry or the more hostile behavior, I think that just creates a darker heart and a darker path that you will take. Especially when you don't have Christ in your life. It's, I think, very easy to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna be mean. Okay. Chapter 6, The Power of Focus. Concentrate all your thoughts upon the work at hand. The sun rays do not burn until brought to a focus. Alexander Graham Bell. If you want to do one thing, but you have your mind on something else, you limit your power and ability. Learning to focus is perhaps one of the greatest challenges in the world today. No horse gets anywhere until he is harnessed. No steam or gas drives anything until it's confined. No Niagara is ever turned into light and power until it is tunneled. No life ever grows great until it is focused, dedicated, and disciplined. Henry Emerson Fosdick. In order for me to do a good job writing this book, I have to shut out everything else and focus. I need to be alone and without distractions. At times, I have to make difficult choices in order to be able to fulfill the call of my life. I recently got a new puppy because my dog I had for 12 years died. Not having a puppy for a long time, I had forgotten how much work they are. Not only that, but the puppy I got was as feisty as she could be. Actually, she had a mind of her own and wasn't too keen on obedience, even though I had sent her for 3 rounds of extensive training. By the time she was 8 months old, I finally had to face the facts. She was not the right dog for me because I could not focus properly on the work God has called me to and still take care of her. I made the difficult choice not to keep her. A few months went by and I decided to try another puppy, and the one I got that time was sweet, cuddly, and obedient. She learned quickly and was very cute. Cute is important, but even taking care of her was challenging due to my travel and schedule. However, my daughter offered to share the duties of dog parenting with me, and it is now a perfect situation. I have the dog anytime I want her, and I take her home when I don't. Perhaps God blessed me with an absolutely perfect situation because I was willing to sacrifice my desire in order to stay focused on His will for my life. Always remember that God promises to give us the desires of our heart if we will delight ourselves in Him. See Psalm 37:4. Even if you have to let go of something you like to have or do, God is able to replace it with something better than you could imagine. Focus requires understanding that you can have too many top priorities or nothing become a top priority. When we do too many things at once, we end up doing nothing well. If you have a goal, something you truly want to accomplish, you will need to focus your thoughts, energies, and time toward that thing. It is useless to wish you could do something. If you truly desire to do something, you must focus and do it. I have written over 100 books throughout the past 35 years because I feel that God wants me to leave a legacy to the body of Christ. Naturally, I have had to sacrifice other things in order to accomplish this, but I don't feel deprived. I actually feel fulfilled because I believe I have done what was intended to do. The world is filled with dissatisfying, unfulfilled people, and I suspect it is due to them not giving themselves to what they were meant to do. God has given each of us gifts and abilities, and we should nurture and develop them. Paul wrote to the Romans telling them to give themselves to whatever their gift was. See Romans 12:6 through 8. I am gifted as a public speaker, but I'm not gifted as a musician. I tried in the earlier years of my life to learn to play guitar, but it was a waste of time. We cannot accomplish a thing merely because we want to do so. God only helps us do what He wants us to do. Find out what that is and give yourself to it. The writer of Ecclesiastes said we are to give our mind to what we are doing. See Ecclesiastes 5:1. I don't know about you, but I often find that difficult. My mind has a tendency to wander, and I have to keep calling it back to what it is at hand. The more we allow our minds to run wild, the wilder they will become. But they can be trained to focus with some diligent effort. You will never control your thoughts if you don't believe that you can. At any moment, you can stop thinking about something you don't want to think about and start thinking about something you want to think about. I tell people, if you don't want to think about something, then think about something else. It is also possible to keep your mind on one thing at a time, but it does take practice. Richard Carlson said, and don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. When you do too many things at once, it is impossible to be present moment oriented. Thus, you not only lose out on much of the potential enjoyment of what you are doing, but you also become far less focused and effective. Prioritize. Keeping the priorities in proper order is very important, and I have found that in order to do so, I have to make changes and adjustments fairly frequently. Life seems to get too full sometimes without even knowing how it got that way. We say yes to one thing and then another. We do a friend a favor. We feel we should attend an event because we don't want anyone to be offended, and on it goes. We don't thoroughly think through what each thing we commit to will require us or how much time and energy it will take, and soon we feel pressured. We are frustrated because we are not getting the things done that we know we should be doing, and find ourselves doing many things we don't even really want to do. When that happens, it is time to reprioritize. We make our schedules, and we are the only ones who can change them. Are you willing to make a change? I often ask people that question because some things will never change unless we change them. It is useless to complain about something if you could change it and aren't willing to do so. More important than the many things we try is frustration, complication, and a lot of unfinished projects. If you're looking through a camera lens and what you see is out of focus, you take time to refocus the lens before taking pictures. We should do the same thing with our life. If our priorities have gotten out of focus, see your mind as the camera lens and adjust your thinking. So you are putting your energies into what you truly know you want to do. God's word speaks about the need to focus frequently, so it must be important. The Apostle Paul had a goal and knew that he had to keep pressing toward it. I am sure he had many requests made of him and expectations placed on him, but in the midst of it all, he managed to focus on his main goal, which was spiritual maturity. See Philippians 3:10-14. Paul wanted to be what God wanted him to be. The church is filled with people who want to be strong against temptation, and yet they never make studying God's word a priority. So they fail time and time again. The author of Hebrews said to look away from all that would distract them onto Jesus, who is the leader and the source of our faith. See Philippians 3:10-14. Oh, wait a minute. I lost myself. Sorry. Yeah. See Hebrews 12:2. Always keep Jesus in the center of all that you do, and refuse to let anything distract you from him. Paul wrote to the Romans and told them to see their minds on and seek those things that gratify the spirit. See Romans 8:5. We must first set our mind in the right direction before we can go in the right direction. Focus requires that we set our minds and keep them set on what it is important to us, and at any given time, distractions are abundant. The devil uses them to keep us from bearing good fruit and being fulfilled, but with God's help and some determination, we can focus. Don't be discouraged if you frequently find that you have allowed your priorities to get out of line. Just refocus and get back on track. Be determined to finish the things you start and give yourself to what you truly want. A disciplined mind. Scriptures tells us that God has given us a sound of mind, and that it is mind of a disciple and self-control. See 2 Timothy 1:7. I am glad to know that I have one, but like most of us, I am still developing it. I have to be honest and say that giving myself to the thing I currently doing can be very challenging at times, and I pray daily that God will help me focus. My mind tends to be busy and is often a step ahead of where I am. My children tease me because I have been known to start opening a car door to get out of it before the car has come to a full stop. Yesterday I was rinsing my mouth with mouthwash and I got distracted and swallowed it. Nasty. Learning to enjoy and be fully present, to be present in the moment, is challenging for me, but it is one and I'm not going to give up on. I've experienced the power of focus, and I also know the misery of being scatterbrained, and I am not going to settle for anything less than focused thinking. The greatest moment in our lives is the present moment. We need to live it fully and enjoy it completely. Let your eyes look right on with fixed purpose, and let your gaze be straight before you. Proverbs 4:25. The less noise we have around us, the easier it is to focus. I usually try to get by myself for large chunks of time when I write my books, but this writing trip, several of my family members are with me. I'm in a room by myself, but I can hear them in the other part of the house. I hear laughter and wonder what it is so funny, and then I am tempted to go out and see what's going on. If I do, then I break my focus, and it takes time for me to refocus again. We cannot always be hermits, but there's nothing wrong with needing time alone to focus on what it is important to you. What if I miss out on something? I think we get sidetracked often simply because we want to be involved in everything that is going on. We don't want to miss anything. I hear the laughter and think, I want to be part of that fun. But when my book is published, those having fun may wish they had written a book. We simply cannot do everything. We must choose what is most important to us and focus on that. To be able to focus means that I have to say no to many other things. Some of the things I say no to may be things I would like to say yes to. However, when I compare them to many goals in my life, I find I still need to say no. The simplest form of what I am presenting is that you cannot have everything you want and have everything worth having. Making wise choices is the key to success. Choose to do now what you will be satisfied with later on. If I chose to leave my writing and go see what the laughter is about, it might be fun right now, but I can assure you that later when I have to not reach my goal for the day, I will be sorry I did it. The only way to live without regrets is to do what you know you should do when you know you should do it. The mindset of a champion, often called the former best women's soccer player in the world, Meyer, says she is often asked, Mia, what is the most important thing for soccer players to have? With no hesitation, she answers, mental toughness. And she doesn't mean some innate trait. When 11 players want to knock you down when you're tired and injured and the referees are against you, you can't let any of it affect your focus. How do you do that? You have to learn how it is, says Ham, one of the most difficult aspects of soccer, and the one I struggle with every game and every practice. It is impossible to be champion of anything without the power of focus, and it's never something that comes without opposition. I have watched golf matches and noticed that the champions are the ones who don't let a bad shot make them angry. They know they must stay focused if they are not to have any hope of winning. I have watched football players get knocked down and baseball players fall down, but the great ones don't focus on the fall. They focus on the winning game. Focus requires getting right up after the fall and going on as if nothing had ever happened. Champions have not time to wallow in their mistakes, whether it is a champion golfer, a champion mom, or a champion teacher. It is imperative that we learn to focus on what it is at hand, and that means letting go of past, no matter how recent, mistakes. I have also learned that successful sports stars always play the game in their mind before they play it in reality. I know former quarterback who spent entire days laying out plays, going over and over them in his mind. When we practice mentally, it is easier to perform physically. I find myself doing the same thing before I conduct a teaching seminar. I go over and over in my notes during the 3-day seminar. During those 3 days, I am focused only on what I'm there to do. I don't let unnecessary distractions get me off course. My staff knows that those days are not good days to tell me about problems unless they have no other choice. I don't want anything fighting my for attention, because I want the words that I speak to be a laser beam going into the hearts of the listeners. We each want to be champion at something. We want to be winners in life. We want to succeed, but sadly many people don't understand what it takes. They don't discipline their minds, habits, bodies, or finances, and they wonder why they failed. Discipline is a tool that God gives us to help us be who we say we want to be and do what we want to do. Discipline is our friend, not our enemy. Learn to discipline your mind and practice focusing. It may take time and effort, but once you gain a measure of success, you will find life much easier and more fulfilling. I will admit that focus is more difficult for some people than others. There are actual chemical imbalances that cause problems in this area for some individuals. For those people, too much stimuli or activity is not a good idea. They need to help themselves be creating a space to work. It doesn't hinder their progress. I knew a boy who had attention deficit disorder, and his teacher put him in front of the row right in front of her desk because that was the place he would be the least distracted. I know a teenager who needs to be alone in a room to do homework because she's easily distracted. However, before you claim a chemical disorder and decide that you simply cannot focus well, make sure you are not merely dealing with a lack of mental discipline. The sooner the better. I find when I have a project that I really need to focus on, the sooner in the day I get started, the better it is. If I wait until I have had to deal with too many other things, it can make a mental toll on me. Then I am not as fresh as I would like to be for the project that is my main priority. It is important that we use our time wisely, or we will waste it on things that don't help us to do what we need to do. For example, when you are trying to give your attention to a project, someone or even several people may ask you questions that they feel needs to be answered right away. But in order for you to answer it properly, you have to make 3 phone calls to get the information you need. Not all of the people you call answer their phone, so you have to keep yours turned on in order to receive their return call. And if in the meantime you get more calls and messages, you get 5 phone calls you are not expecting, do you have to answer just because they called, or can you decide not to take the call right now and return their call later? Far too often I have decided to take the call and ended up on the phone of 30 minutes with someone who is talking about something that is their priority but not mine. At times I've headed somewhere and need to stay focused when I am approached by someone who only needs 1 second of my time. Nobody ever needs 1 second. So it is best to ask the person to contact you later and stay focused. We cannot avoid all these situations, but we can learn to manage them better if we truly want to focus on what our priority is. Try to get your main priorities while your mind is fresh and not filled with too many other things. Since our thoughts are connected to all our other feelings and decisions, it is best to keep them peaceful and calm rather than flying in 10 different directions. We have only a certain amount of energy for any given day, and if we divide it among to all these things, we end up giving a weak effort at best to everything instead of focused and creative effort to a few things. When I woke up this morning, my main goal for the day was to work on my book. I had a goal to finish a certain number of words by the end of the day, if at all possible. I had some difficulty getting started writing this morning because I had to deal with about 8 other things before I began. Could some of the we really must do from the things that we just get caught up in, things we probably should have avoided. But with God's help and some determination, we can do it. The sooner the better it is in my new catchphrase. When it comes to working on my main goals for each day, any successful person has to develop an ability to choose more important things over less important ones. They're not merely lucky people who don't have interruptions in their life, but they have simply learned to make better choices. Let's decide together to make the best choices every day and choose what is excellent and the greatest value. Paul prayed this for the churches, and I prayed it for you, that you may surely learn to sense what is vital and approach and prize what is excellent and of real value, recognizing the highest and the best. Philippians 1:10. So think about 1. If you have a goal, something you truly want to accomplish, you will need to focus your thoughts, energies, and time toward it. 2. Find out what God has gifted you to do and give yourself wholeheartedly to it. 3. In order to stay focused in life, it's important to reprioritize as you go. 4. You can't do everything. Choose what it is important to you and put your focus on that. 5. Discipline is the tool that God gives us to help us be who we say we want to be and do what we want to do. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching.